Namaste from Pranalink team. Today we have Mr. Karthik Sharma with us. Karthik Sharma is from Hyderabad city, India. He is a certified Reiki master and healer with 12 years of experience. He is specialized in Reiki healing and training, chakra balancing and meditation, space clearing, wellness. He is also an animal Reiki practitioner. He has his own 2 clinics in Hyderabad, KS Reiki Healing Center. Today, in collaboration with Pranalink, he is conducting this free workshop on how COVID-19 affected our chakras and the way forward. Towards the end of the session, there's a 10 minutes Q&A. Enjoy the session. Over to you, Karthik sir.
Yeah, thanks, Deepa. Before we begin this, let's sit in silence for a couple of minutes so that we get tuned with this energy before we get into the subject. Please close your eyes and awareness on your breath. Gently open your eyes. So we'll begin this before getting into the reality of what a virus is. We'll have a couple of minutes dedicated to the word itself, the energy. The energy is something which we experience, which is present everywhere and allowing us to do many things. But putting that in words is difficult, because when something going beyond our senses and something happens behind our senses, it's difficult to express into our words. So that energy which is running this whole system is the source of everything to function. Now coming to that virus, which is troubling us, all of us, almost everyone has gone through something or the other in the last 2 years. So what exactly is that virus? Is it specific COVID-19 or any virus in general is like that? So when we get into this term virus, according to science, it is defined as something which is non-living outside the body. So when that virus is not inside the human body or inside the living organisms, it is non-living. Now, as soon as it enters the system, as soon as it enters the body, is where it starts using that person's energy, person's proteins, person's own system, and start developing inside that body. This is the nature of virus when we take any virus, even the common flu, the common cold, which we get. Even that virus, once it enters the body, is where it starts acting. So outside the body, it is considered as dust. Now, when something is considered as dust outside the body, now how are we killing it? How specifically that virus is even selecting this person? When virus enters a person, it is selecting that. How that is even selecting? What is that criteria with which this virus is working? When we get into deeper into this, the virus itself, when they say the COVID-19 is a novel virus, it means that it changes its own shape. Now, when it is changing its own shape, and when it is triggering certain humans or certain number of sector of people while entering, what is that criteria with which it is doing it? Before even getting into the topic of how it is affecting the person, how did it start? Where did it start? This whole COVID-19 virus, as we hear in the news and other places, it came from China, that from a specific person related to the bat, and all the stories, or all the, it might be the reality, or it might be a story, it might be a theory, whatever it is, but it has started from that place. Now, how and why specifically it started from that place? Because every place has certain energies. Is it specifically being targeted and sent, or is it happening naturally? So whatever the criteria it may be, but how specifically it started from China, what that place, what that land, or what that energies are doing with which this whole thing started. Now it started somewhere, it started transmitting from one person to other person, and it's not a big deal to transfer or travel across the world. So it reached all the countries, almost everyone has been exposed to it. Now, once it entered into a specific geographical location, there are certain changes happens inside it. The genetic material present in the virus undergoes certain transformations, undergoes certain differences, so that it is also working in that specific geographical location. Now, after getting activated, it is triggering that specific population and entering into the body. Now we are a couple of days back, we also heard that now there is again a lockdown in China. Again, a lot of cases which have been increasing over the world. Now, when all these things are happening, like what is it? Where is it acting? How is it coming? Why people are getting into panic when there are many other viruses? How this whole thing got into a panic mode? Why everyone was made to wear a mask? How everyone started applying the sanitizers? But the alcohol content, if you see how funny things are, how we just follow when we get into a panic mode. The alcohol content present in a sanitizer can't kill a virus. It can eradicate bacteria. Now, something which is non-living outside the body, how it is being killed by just applying that on your palms? Is it something we are orchestrated into it? Is it something that panic got created through certain mainstream things, where everything was articulated? Look, today, day one, this is going to happen in this way. Day two, this is going to happen in this way. Day three, day four. So before even that happens, so one day before we start thinking, oh, tomorrow my oxygen levels are going to go down. Tomorrow my SpO2, saturation point of my oxygen, is going to go down. So when human is orchestrated so much into this, it is literally we manifesting certain things. Our system is allowing certain things to happen. We gave that access to something which is not present inside us. Now, coming to how our immune system works. Now, something has entered into the body. Now, there is a specific way how the virus has entered. It is not through food, it is through the air, or is it through the air which we are taking through our nose? Now there are specific, when this enters into specifically into your nostrils, it is going to a specific point where it is called as the third eye, or the Agnya chakra, or the Ajna chakra, or the third eye center, third eye chakra. Now after entering into there, it is slowly entering into the system from that energy center through our breath, slowly into our throat, and then into our lungs, where it is going and sitting inside the lungs. Now that is the area where it is going to sit and function. It is using the energy of your heart region or the pulmonary region, and using that energy, it is manipulating, or it is reproducing at that place and increasing its number inside the body. Now, when this is happening, general physiological things we have observed during the second wave, first wave, all the different waves. So people started, they're not noticing the smell, they lost the smell, they lost the taste, and then slowly the cold, the cough, and the heaviness during the breath, all these things started noticing. Now, if we see a specific path and how it is going and how it is entering and manipulating these things or taking control over these places, we need to understand how this human body is even made of. Before even getting into chakras, I know it is the most commonly discussed topic. I know the world is moving more towards this energy centers, chakras, how you need to balance it. There are so many things which came up in this last 2 years. There are so many different types of healing techniques, so many different masters, so many different approaches to clear this. Now, irrespective of whatever the path it is, but if we understand the basic structuring of this body, the basic functioning of this body, the how exactly this is even made, that is the point where we can choose the modality or the way we want to get healed. If there was only one single technique, there wouldn't have been so many different people into so many different techniques. There wouldn't be so many different masters. There would have been one master saying a single thing, just do this. You do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, done. But why there are so many things which are even coming up is because we have this diversification at the cellular level itself. When we understand how this human body is even made up of, is where we exactly understand like how and where different things are being affected. Now, while understanding this physical body in general, if we see the science point of view, we say that it is made up of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. These are the building molecules to build a physical human body, and we get it to these things through different sources, which is basically from the food. So the food which we eat is making this physical body. So every human body has three different division of body inside them. One is this physical body. Second is our sensory body, our brain, which is made up out of our five senses. And third one is the energy body or the energy system, which is functioning even internally to the sensory. Now, when we see this, how this physical body is made up of, then comes the topic of the five elements, or also called as Panchamahabhutas in the Sanskrit, or in English, we call it as the five elements. What are these five elements with which this body is formed? Starting with earth, water, fire, air, and the akasha, are also called as the space where everything is there, or the ether, if you call it as sky, or it's a different way, but basically it's a space where everything is functioning. Now, when we put all these elements into one place, and different combination of these elements is how the body is formed. So before getting into chakras, where exactly the earth element is present? The earth element, the trees or plants or the vegetables are basically grown in the earth. That is being taken into the body, and with which all the hard structures are being formed, like our bones, like the whole skeletal system is formed out of it. So what we eat is what we become. Like we can't curse our own body saying that, how come you're so fat, when we eat so many burgers, or when we put so much fats and so much carbs into our body, and we are just blaming our body saying that I don't have this fit body. What you give is the input is equivalent to the output. So what we are giving is with this physical body is formed. Now coming to the element water. Now water is 70% present inside the body. It is the basic medium where all the metabolisms happen, where all the mechanisms in the body happen as the water as the source. And coming to the element fire, that heat with which we are living, the heat with which this whole system is functioning, this specific heat, once it leaves the body, is what we are called as dead. We are cold. Once you get cold, once that heat is not present inside the body, is what we are declared as cold. So that heat, and coming to the air. Now there are five different airs inside the body. Now again, Sanskrit system takes it to five more classification of the oxygen or the breath which we are taking, which is divided into five more subdivisions, which is called as prana, apana, vyana, Udana, and Samana. And don't worry, all this, you will be getting a presentation about this. I know it's difficult for few of them to even recognize what I'm saying, but we will circulate the presentation as well. So I kept my talk without presentation because I want that energy to be, instead of focusing on the letters, it should be more of the energy which is being transmitted. Because what I'm speaking today is basically what you all need to listen. It is not something pre-planned. Okay, I need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what I have to prepare. No, it is basically the energy which got created through Pranalink, where certain people got registered into it by seeing certain, but they felt something to even register. That specific feeling is that what you deserve to listen from, or what this even body is channeling and transmitting. So coming back, so specific, these 3-5 years are present. We will not get into the description of where these 5 years are present inside the body, but going further, the prana, apana, vyana, udana, and samana, these 3-5 years are distributed inside this body, with which the space which is there is getting filled. Now, this structure is completely made up of these 5 elements. So internally, when we see our body, little bit of science added to it. So the most external thing is the organism or the human body, which is visible. On inside the organism is the organ system, like my circulatory system, respiratory system, digestive system, different systems. Inside the system, we have the organs: stomach, intestine, heart, pancreas, lungs, different organs. Inside the organs, we have tissues. Inside the tissues, we have cells. Now, this group of cells which are forming the tissue are functioning. Now, inside the cell, we have a genetic material along with the cell organelles. Now, that specific genetic material, where all the biologists give full credit to DNA. Because of my DNA, I'm like this. Because of my DNA, I'm doing this. Because of my DNA, this. So everything goes back to DNA. Now, what exactly is even there inside the DNA? Again, it's molecules. We have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. Now, what is there inside the carbon? Again, we have electron, proton, neutron. So it is going back to the same subatomic particles, electron, proton, neutron, where everything is made up. Let's not get further beyond the electron, proton, neutron, because that becomes too much physics. The physics gets involved there. So this, with which this whole body is formed. Now, this is the physical body. Now, in this physical body, how that specific DNA is even functioning, how that signal is released, how we are able to see, how all this functioning is happening is through the single point with which everything is being originated, the energy. Now, the energy with which this whole system is functioning is located at different locations in the body, performing certain functions. Now, where exactly this energy is located or being stored or present over there is called as chakra. The chakra, the meaning, the wheel or the energy which is present is rotating and transmitting that energy over that location. All the organs which are connected to that location are getting that specific energy, the internal life force of the prana, from these chakras. Now, there are 7 different chakras, and again, you must have heard a lot of information about chakras. Every person tries to tell, like they take sources or they have their own knowledge, or all the things which we heard about chakras. Now, 6 chakras, 7 chakras, 112 chakras, 114 chakras, 108 chakras, you get different versions of all these chakras. So, instead of getting confused, stick to certain things, at least the body which is alive because of there is a certain region inside the body. Starting from my head till my genitals or my anus, that is my body. These are my extensions, or in biology we call them as appendages, or the extensions which are coming from the. So my hands are coming from my shoulders, from the heart region, or or the the region where the lungs are present, thorax, and the legs are appendages which is coming from my waist. Now this is my exact body between my head till the point which is called as perineum, between my anus and genitals. This is the whole body. Now considering this as the whole body, the different areas where these different five elements are functioning, the five different chakras are. First one, considering the earth, the first chakra is called as the root chakra or the Mooladhara chakra. And second chakra is the sacral chakra below your navel, above your genitals, which is the Swadhisthana chakra. Third is solar plexus, Manipuraka, or in your stomach region. Fourth one is the heart chakra, where heart chakra is called as the Anahata chakra. And the throat region called as the Vishuddhi chakra. These are the five chakras, or the five energy centers, which is basically present between your throat and your perineum. Now, root chakra is connected to earth, sacral chakra is connected to water, solar plexus is connected to fire, heart chakra is connected to the air, and throat chakra is connected to the space. And we can at least compare our own body with this, with certain examples. Like if you see a tree, the whole trunk is connected with the ground with roots. That's the reason the Mooladhara chakra. So when you meditate, or when you sit on ground by putting a mat or something, when you sit on your ground, we usually try to be straight. So we try to be straight, and we look forward, and we look towards the front, and we like to keep our spine straight and meditate. So the whole weight is falling on your buttocks. Now, when you slightly tilt yourself, like 5 to 10 degrees forward, the whole weight shifts. Now, you don't feel any weight on your buttocks, and that whole weight goes to a specific point. That specific point is Mooladhara chakra. Now, from that specific point, that Mooladhara chakra is how you are connected to the earth. Now, by saying earth, we sitting on the fourth floor and sitting on my ground. That's not when we are on the, when we put our feet on the ground, that's where the real is. Like we think that for fourth floor, this is my ground. No, our ground is our root. Now, coming to the sacral chakra, connected to the element water, is the seat of creativity, which is in, like, again, let's not get into colors, red, yellow, orange. We all must be knowing it already. So the sacral chakra, the orange one. So this is connected to the element water, where all the creativity happens, and solar plexus, where all the digestion and all the daily lifestyle things happens. Now, heart chakra is a key, because that's a connecting chakra between your basic chakras, which is your solar plexus, sacral, and root, and the spiritual ones, the throat, third eye, and crown. Now, between these two, the heart. That is the reason to keep the heart open. Like, you need to be open to things which happen, is the key. Because once that is open, like if you see Jesus, that's the exact way how he stands, like the open arms. Like, keep your heart open. Unless until this is open, you can't connect the complete body or the complete system. And the throat chakra, third eye, and crown. Now, the specific path which we see, like how this virus is entering into the body. So, general physiology when we see, so it enters through our nostrils, enters the third eye region, and from there, through respiratory tract, it is entering. This is what we spoke about. Now, once we lose the smell, these five senses are controlled by the third eye, all the five sense organs. Now, once we lose the smell, we slowly started observing that we lost the taste. Not that everyone has gone through it, but most of them, this is what we have observed. Now, throat, or the taste which is gone. Now, after the taste, the cold, the cough, and then the oxygen content on the lungs, which started getting affected. Now, in this time, what we started taking, our body temperature increased, because our immune system started working, and it was trying to stop the virus or kill the virus, or it was its own defense mechanism. Now, when it was its own defense mechanism, there was a possibility that we can stop it. So few people just got infected, they just lost the smell, nothing else happened. They didn't even get, their body temperature was not high, they were not getting any fever. It was just a smell which they lost. Few lost the smell and the taste. There was nothing else which happened. But once it enters into a period, like after third or fourth day, like when people started getting fever inside their body, the body temperatures was going high. It was taking to a temperature where it was trying to kill that by increasing the temperature. But when that was also not happening, now this, till now there was no bloodstream. So when we see a respiratory tract, it is just a tunnel type, just entered and entered into your lungs, which is like an air sac, airbags. From there, from the lungs is where it entered the blood, or through the oxygen it entered into hemoglobin or bloodstream. So till now, people who were at these stages recovered easily. Now, once it entered the bloodstream is where it entered into different organs, started colonizing there, and where different organ failure happened. Now, this is the physical mechanism which was happening. When we see the psychological part of it, now this part doctors were handling so well with the physical things. You have throat infection, you are given with something, cough given with something, cold given with something, fever given with. Now, coming to the psychological point of view, which played a prominent role, because based on what we are thinking, that's the kind of energy which gets vibrated inside, or that's the kind of signals which come based on the thought process, hormones. We can get in that in detail, but at least the overall way. So once the psychological aspect started, how the psychological aspect started, you started seeing a symptom, you got tested. Now, as soon as you got tested, you are in this panic mode that what my result will come. Is it positive? I hope that it is negative. Everyone just hope that it should come negative, even though we know that there is something which is inside. So we were expecting everything to be negative, only with virus. So now when it comes as positive result, you just saw the result and what you started getting into a mode. Okay, so now you accepted that you have virus by seeing your report. Now after accepting that you have the virus, now slowly the kind of emotions which humans are going through started changing. You are made to sit inside a room, you are closed inside, all your activities are stopped, you are treated as if you have to be separated, or that kind of untouchability is the way. Again, that is the only way we could have done it, but still, with respect to emotions, now person who was going through this, initially it was full confusion. Why I got it, from where I got it, did I transmit to others, how will I go, will I get admitted in hospital, how do I take care of my finances, what happens to me if I pass away, what happens to me if there is so much money which has to be spent on me. All these things he started thinking on his bed. Everything, the whole life started coming in front of him. Now once this started, the ultimate stress which got created out of this thought process started affecting the body in a different way. Now, if you are already into anxiety or depression or heavy health issues, when people are already into it, they started thinking that gone. I don't know if I will survive or not. People started sharing their secrets. People started sharing their, this is where I kept my gold. This is where I kept my money. All these things they started sharing. They completely build that whole thing in their thoughts. So there is something which is happening inside me. This exact psychological movement is what exactly a virus requires. Now, then we started taking medicine, and then we started expecting care and love from people. The people who spoke to us 2 days before stopped talking, stopped coming. Now we started expecting our own relationships. We have started expecting our own families. This person didn't call me, this person didn't ask me. All this cascade of things are happening. Now, more than that, no one ever saw each other's face for so much long duration other than this lockdown. Then everything was stopped. When people were at one place, it was the most time spent together. Now, all these things, why we are even speaking, because the psychological aspect is the trigger point, is where people started losing their own self. There are two categories of people who generally lost their life to COVID. Is one is complete fear system, people who have complete fear, like for every small thing they are scared. And second category is people are never scared. Nothing happens to me. I look into it. So when people started going through this, there are so many different techniques came. Few said do pranayama, you'll be fine. Few said do yoga, asana, you'll be fine. Few said that practice Reiki, you will be fine. Few said that leave everything, go to villages, spend some time in nature, you will be fine. So there are too many things which came up. Now, if there was only one solution, if you do this, you will be fine. It is hard to convey it. So different types of people, different types of healers, different type of techniques, everything came into the existence. Now again, people are confused like which one to approach. Should I do pranayama? Should I do pranic healing? Should I do Reiki? Should I get into Ashtanga yoga? So which one to choose? Now the whole point of discussion about the chakras and the virus is when it started affecting the person, it triggered the points which got triggered is the third eye, the throat, and your heart. These are the three regions which you have at least physically seen. But that one specific chakra, which was not in the picture but specifically played a major role, is Muladhara or your root chakra. That specific characteristics of the root chakra, the people who belonged or people who were doing certain things with respect to root chakra, is where they were stabilized even in this environment. I know certain people who never got affected or who at least didn't get positive in the results. Virus, definitely everybody has been exposed to it. There is no chance that it didn't, because once it is the dust which is a virus, then there is no point ki virus didn't enter my house. There is no question about how much ever you put double mask, you put N95, 2 mask, you put oxygen cylinder, whatever you do, it has entered, it has entered. But why few didn't get affected? When we go deeper into this, immunity to a certain level. So it's virus. We can't measure like how much immunity I have and how much virus strong, how stronger it is, which one is going to win in this fight. More than that, it's the root, the categories or the people where the root was strong, is where all these chakras, even if it has entered, that basic energy which is present in the root chakra, which is again the mostly used, the most overrated word right now, Kundalini. When the root was stable, when the chakra was on point with respect to their life process, it gave that certain energy to the body where that fight has happened and the chakras of the body has won over the virus. Now that specific energy is usually divided into three energies, where there are many other forms, but in general it is divided into three energies: the willpower or the Icha Shakti, the knowledge, the Jnana Shakti, and the function or the Kriya Shakti. That specific energy, when it is divided into three different forms, like you take any event in your life, suppose joining a yoga class, suppose you have willpower but you don't have knowledge, you slowly get that knowledge. Once you have the willpower attached with that knowledge, you'll start functioning it. Now when there was anything which is missing out of these three things, you take any work, if any of these three things is missing, that work cannot be finished. Suppose you don't have willpower, you don't have willpower to work, but you have information, but you know how to do. How much time can we survive in that? We'll start losing that connect with the company, or we'll start losing that connect with the work itself. If you have willpower, And if you have knowledge, and when you're not performing it, but the function is missing, again the work will not be done. So any of the differences in these three categories, or willpower, knowledge, and function, knowledge or wisdom, or just get the the real meaning of what I want to convey, because it is difficult to put a Sanskrit word in an English word. So it's basically the jnana. So that complete justification can't happen over there. So it's basically the Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and Kriya Shakti. Shakti being the energy. This energy is divided into these three. Now, the overall, when we see the three main categories where everything falls into, is first is the physical thing, or the physical exercise, or the exercise, gym, yoga asanas specifically, not yoga altogether, yoga asanas or pranayama. This is all coming to the physically you doing something. And second thing is the food intake which is there, the nutrition. Because generally we consider energy to do anything is we are getting it through our food. What we eat is what we are getting that energy. But what about the air which you are breathing, or the oxygen which is going? That is also called as the prana shakti. That is also giving certain energy to the body. And third, water. Water is also giving certain amount of energy. So the nutrition, or the way you are handling this physical body, through putting something externally into you. The nutrition comes the second one. And third one is your thought process. Because try to understand this sequence. For any event to happen, suppose you are walking across the road, there are two people who are fighting. Now, the two people fighting, there is an event. That's an event. Now, based on that event, there is certain impact on you. Good, bad, let's not get into duality. There is some impact on you. Event, impact. This impact releases certain hormones inside. Certain signals are released and certain hormones are released. Now, these certain hormones are those emotions. Now, these emotions, the collective things of all these things, is the circuit or the loop which forms. So, suppose in your childhood you saw your parents fighting, your 3 months baby, and they were just screaming on top of each other, and this fight was happening. That is the first time you're listening. That created certain impact on you. Whenever someone raises their voice, you get into panic. You get into this fear. Now, when we see this in sequence, so they are fighting event, and this event created certain impact on your brain as it went through the senses. Now, that impact has released certain emotions. Now, whenever two people fight, based on the impact intensity, whenever two people fight, your reaction is in a certain way. This is how this neural networking or the loops happens inside the body till certain age. That's why, when we say that what we are today is what our childhood is, what our inner child is. This specific inner child, we can't distinguish physically, but this inner child is the neural networking which happened inside the body. So what you heard as good and bad, correct and wrong, this and that, all those things which got impacted, which got stored inside you at certain age from certain people. It can be parents, it can be teacher, it can be your friends, it can be anyone where they mean something to you. When these certain things happened, is what this neural networking till a certain age, till the 8 years of age, usually it happens for the first round. So that specific thing is what your inner child is. If you can't connect that inner child with your present self by understanding certain things, realizing certain things, you can't break that patterns and come out of it. So thought process makes a major role. So the physical, nutrition, and the thought process, these are the three things which has to be done simultaneously. It's not like I'll just do yoga, I'll be fine. No. I'll just eat right, I'll be fine. No. I'll just think good, I'll be fine. No. This all things has to become simultaneously. So this is something which you have to, if you want to keep your body in a certain way, you have to do it regularly. You have to take it as a process, and you have to, after a point of time, you shouldn't separate that process other than you. Like, I will go and meditate. You are meditating every point of time. If you are not meditating, you will not be inside this body. All your senses, all your organs, everything is in a zone. Everything is functioning in a way. Only your senses, only the things which you have registered in your brain from your childhood, out of these five senses, is what called as your mind, is engaged into certain things, where it is forgetting, or where it is too much engaged into certain things, where you are not able to realize what is happening inside. When you say, I will go and sit and meditate. Now, when I go and sit and meditate, you are already meditating. When you give that time is when you are realizing what is here, what is happening inside. Like, we can't have two thoughts at one point of time. Can you think about two things at one point of time? It is not possible. There is always one thought, a pause, a second thought. Like, same like our breath. Like, if you have heard about the word kumbhaka, like when you breathe in and then when you hold your breath, naturally there is a pause between an inhalation, exhalation, and exhalation, inhalation. That pause is what our reality is. When you're doing pranayama or meditation or any of these processes, you are focusing, your awareness is on the pauses. Now, when your awareness is on these pauses, is where you realize. So when you say that, I meditated for two days. I meditated for not 2 days, it's too much. I meditated for 2 hours. You didn't meditate for 2 hours. You realized that process for 2 hours. You are meditating 24/7. This body is, everything is functioning beyond what you can even imagine is happening always. So getting all these things together, now how to keep these chakras in a standard way, or how to, not a standard way, how to keep this, how to, service it, how to keep these things in a proper way. This whole, some approach is required, which can be, if you are really interested to even understand what is that, because we can't cover everything in 45 minutes. What best the base can be given has been delivered. So if you want to really get into that process of understanding how these things even work, when going to everything in specific with every chakra and everything in detail, with the physiological, psychological, how did we even born, how did we even choose our mother? It's not the mother who chose us, it's we. It's the energy which chose the mother. When you understand all these things, how did even Earth came into existence? How did even this universe came into existence? When you see from that universe point of view till the DNA, when you travel across this journey, you'll realize certain things. You'll understand certain things. Then those things can be implemented inside you. That is the collective way of learning it. Not just you just do Reiki, you will be fine. No. Being a Reiki healer, I'm saying this. Being a Reiki master, I'm saying this. It is not just you do Reiki and everything is fine. That's not going to happen that way. There is collective approach for this. When we are in this collective approach is where you will fine tune everything into that whole being. I think that specific subject, if you want to learn, I think Pranalink, they will share that link with you. If you're really interested, you can register into it. And I think we will share that video, the recording of this video, and also the presentation of the overview of what we can, see till now or observe till now. The link is in your inbox. If anyone wants to register, they can definitely do it. And Pranalink, definitely a great platform, because out of that pain, out of that struggle, only many things come out of that pressure. So Pranalink is such a wonderful platform where, they are trying to aggregate everyone together at a point, at a single point, where once you go through their website, you can see many things over there, not just about their own self, or not just about the person who's speaking. There are many things which you can, because there are so many different ways to reach that point, so many routes to reach that point. Which way you want to go is up to you. So Pranalink is providing different paths of where you can reach there. So it's a wonderful thing, and thank you everyone for being part of this. And if you have any questions, you can want to ask over now, or you want to ask later? It's up to you. If anyone has any question, please. I think there is a question from Josna.
Yeah, how can we channelize these things? Like it is coordination of everything as you suggested. The food,
Yeah,
mind, and the process of meditation.
that's what we need to start talking personally, because that's not possible in 45 minutes. I think
Yeah.
we can get in touch about that personally, and then yeah, definitely this can be taken care of.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. If anyone wants to approach personally, if you don't want to ask right now, you're always welcome. You can talk to the Pranalink team, and they would definitely. And I have, as per Deepa, she gave my introduction, I have my clinics in Hyderabad. So I'm a Reiki center in a couple of places in Hyderabad. I keep traveling. People can't approach to Hyderabad, or if they just feel that I need to visit there, so I keep traveling every month. So yeah, 12 years of experience in this lifetime, but I don't think it is of this lifetime. Something is connecting beyond this life. Few things are there which are just channeling and making this work happen. Okay, then thank you so much, and that's about it.
Thank you so much, Karthik, for today's session.
Thank you.
Dear all, for a detailed chakra balancing session, you can visit Karthik's shop and register for his one-on-one session, which is offered at a 30% discount for a limited period up to December 10, 2022. The link to the session is given in the chat box. Thank you all.